Wow, we are here. Welcome, 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 everyone. So, if you're watching this, I want to preface and say that this is a special edition of Meet the Author, as all of the editions are. But this one in particular is special because we have the honor and the pleasure of sitting down with who I like to call a friend, Mr. Archie Craft. However, this episode is being pre-recorded because Archie must be on the green at Sunday at 4 p.m. So we pre-recorded this because there was so much interest. Everybody was looking forward. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to miss out, Archie. I'm begging. Like, I would offer my firstborn. Please, you know.
That's you need to tweet. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
So glad to be here with you. So I want to give everybody a little bit of background. So Archie and I met, I was looking through the emails. Was it 2015 or 16? I think it was.
Yeah.
It's been a while. And go ahead and give your story of how we met.
Well, we were both, I guess, beginning off as entrepreneurs in the after school arena. And we were in, I think, the Harris County Department of Education sector of CASE, and both just scrambling, trying to get our programs off the ground and into the schools to edify and help the kids develop more. And, we hit it off, and you with the Imagiread and me with the golf program. And then we did, I think, a couple of other events where we were on a radio station with a fundraising event in Clear Lake area that comes to mind. And just been touching bases since. So I'm just pleased to be with you, Miss Tiffany, once again. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. I always think about you because you're right. I think us being in the trenches, sometimes, and I talk about this all the time, the trauma bonding. It's like, oh, I'm struggling and you struggling too. Let's struggle together. But we didn't do that. It was like, yeah, I see what you're doing. You see what I'm doing. Let's support each other. And I've always supported golf. And I was talking to you, you know the story, a little bit about my relationship with golf. So my father is an avid golfer. Like, when I say avid, honestly, I would be happy if I could just buy my dad a house on a golf course and let him fully retire, because he's retired, but he's still working. He's going to be 73 in January. But when I tell you he golfs like it's just not going to be here anymore. He loves it. He has my middle son involved. And our first, instance with golf was, it was time for me to take a PE type elective second year college. And he was like, why don't you take golf? And I was like, and I did. And I loved it. He bought me clubs. So I want to talk about all things golf and how Little Birdies really, really pushes the narrative that golf helps with so many things outside of it being fun. So that's what I want to talk about, because I discovered it for myself. I want everybody else to discover, and those who play, they'll get it. So.
And that's kind of the gust of how I found it and came across Little Birdies Mobile Golf Academy. It's just that so many young people, and I'll just say young people, even people of color, golf is probably one of the most underrepresented sports in the world. So just to say the least. So I founded it because our kids don't get exposed to it, haven't been introduced to it, don't know all of the benefits of it, and then some of the struggles with trying to show our program to schools and things like that. We have that same kind of issue because principals may not have been exposed to golf, so they may not know it, and school administrators and coordinators and things like that. So it's a big, large pool that we're trying to just introduce golf to, because it's not only fun, it's edifying to the mind. A great release. We call it a mental sport, a character building sport. Disney is quoted as even saying that in some of their cartoons that we show the kids that are inside of our curriculum. It just has so many great characteristics and great skills, not only for golf, but for life inside of it, that we just try to show the kids, and we're excited about it.
So I just go right in, like Little Birdie right here on your shirt. Is that iron or a wedge? Let's talk about strategy.
Ain't that something?
Right. I'm like, it's been a minute, but that looks like a wedge right there. It might be a putter. So let's talk about strategy. Let's talk about how all those things come together and how you do it specifically, because you're right. A lot of people, they don't, it's not something that they think about
Mhm.
because, football, basketball,
Those are the
So
popular
let's
sports.
talk about it. What's the strategy involved?
Well, golf is such a mental game. All right. So it's one of the few games that we call as an individualized sport. All right. You got your tennis, and then you got your golf. And golf is a sport. When we say individualized, it's just you and the environment, you and
Mhm.
the elements, right? You may be playing against somebody, but in all actuality, once you break it down and tear it apart through the layers, you're really playing against yourself. So
Mhm.
that in itself is a great skill to teach young people, right? And not necessarily playing against yourself, but just being able to control your emotions, develop great habits in how you go about processing how you want to do a swing or how you want to perform a swing and how you want the ball to react ideally, and then trying to get to your end goal. So all of those things, like we said, we may not even comprehend that as far as golf, but those are skills that are inside of golf that are part of life, right? When I go on a
Mhm.
job, when I go to school, I need to figure out, how do I get this A? What's the best way to go about getting this A? What's the best way to go about finishing this project and doing it the best way for my teacher to grade me in a great way? Well, I got to map it out. Every time I get on the hole, I got to map it out. Okay, I got a 400-yard par four. I know I can use a driver, but then thinking backwards, and that's one of the habits of highly effective young people and highly effective people is that start with the end in mind. So I got to think
Yes.
backwards. So how what's my best shot, or what's the best club in my bag that I can always rely on? For me, it's a wedge, like you said earlier. I
Mhm.
love hitting my wedges. That's like 100 yards in. So I'm gonna try to get to a distance that's adequate for my wedge, and then I can perform like that, and then hopefully I can I can make a putt. So it's so many skills involved in golf that we try to bring out to the kids, and we, as you know, I was a former administrator in the school system, and I wrote the curriculum with those things in mind. Not only starting with the end in mind and mapping out and critical thinking, but also just how to communicate. You got to know how to communicate on
Mm.
the golf course. You got to know how
Mm.
to figure things out. You got to know how to do math on a golf course. So all those skills we try to just incorporate and teach kids on a daily lesson.
I love it because here we are. We talk about this from the business perspective, but mostly with the children, right? It's literacy development is crucial for so many reasons, but one of the most important is so that you'll be able to communicate.
Absolutely, absolutely,
You,
and think
you
critically. Yeah.
exactly. We're
Mhm.
talking about reasoning. We're talking about some logic here. I love when you were talking about the mapping out, the begin with the end in mind, because that really is how I think. And it's, it can be a blessing and a curse at times,
Yeah.
but it does move you through solution. And
Yep.
it creates, environments where you're like, okay, what's the best way? And
Mhm.
okay, so if I do this, and this is going to happen, right? So a lot of cause and effect, a lot of literal and figurative action has to happen. But thinking about what you just said, okay, so I got 400 yards. All right, so I'm going to use this. Also, and you alluded to it a little bit earlier, it's okay, but the wind is blowing.
And there is where our STEM connections come into play, right?
Right.
Science, technology, engineering, math are also some concepts that we teach inside of our curriculum, right? So not only wind, but we call topography, or the study of
Mm-hmm.
the land, right, and the curvatures of the land, whatever the case may be. So that's important in putting. Technology is all through our golf club. Like, we may just think it's just a stick with a head on it, right? But it's more to it than that. There's so much technology in the shaft. We teach kids that in the grip and how you, the different variations of a grip, different variations of a club head, and what metals are made of. Engineering is inside of that as well. And then of course the math and literacy piece is just a given, right? You got to know how to add and subtract. You got to know how many feet do I need this putt, and force, and start understanding how much force I need to put on this. So I'm telling you, Tiffany, it's a lot that we try to integrate from the school objectives and bring it to the golf lesson, and just have a nice harmonious lesson and program for the kids.
So again, love the fact that you're talking about what's involved, because there's some prior knowledge. Okay, so you have to be able to do these basic functions, and understanding that some children, because we came in contact with, I know I did quite a bit. They don't have those prior skills. They don't have that prior knowledge, right? Have you encountered children who, as a result of participating, even if they couldn't really grasp the concept of golf and all that goes into it, like you said, the engineering, the math, the technology, the science, and the fun of it all, have you come across children who were affected, who didn't really do well in the beginning, but as it moved on, they got accustomed to it? And what did you see? Like, what was the light bulb for them?
And we talked about this early on, right? The exposure piece is huge for all kids, not just our communities of color, but all kids, right? When we first come in and when we first introduce our programs to schools of all regions and all sectors of the city, I'll be honest, it's hard to get in because of golf.
Totally.
If we had a soccer program, if we had a basketball program, we had a football program, they would see the benefit immediately. But programs like this, and I thank you for this opportunity, are ways for us to show how important and the connections that golf can make, right? So kids have that same piece of apprehension when we go in, and I train our staff that when we go in, beg the kids or beseech the kids to give you at least 2 classes, 2 weeks before they can really just have the right to just write you off and not even want to try golf. Tell them to give you 2 weeks, right? And in those 2 weeks, we're going to push those buttons. We're going to enlighten them in such a way. And we've seen it, when kids haven't been exposed to the game of golf, and then they pick up golf club for the first time. And we have like a proprietary 6-step program where we teach them how to hold a club and swing a club, right? And when they hit that ball for the first time, right? And I know your dad is a witness, and all avid golfers are. When you hit that ball and it goes where you want it to go for the first time, you become addicted. It's like a drug. Yeah, and I don't know how to explain it other than it's like a drug. And I say that, funny, but it's really addicting. And the kids see that as well, and they get that same type of addiction to the success that they see. And I would be remiss if I didn't say we have met kids with just supremely natural raw talent, how to swing a golf club. But they never would have experienced it, or never would have seen that type of success unless we expose them to it. So we've had tremendous numbers of kids who are just naturally gifted in just, and not even talking about the health benefits of golf, but just naturally gifted in being able just to swing and seeing their body work and the movement that a swing needs to take place in.
So we're talking confidence all high. Yep. Yeah, we're talking about, because think about it. So if you don't recognize that you have that natural talent and you hit that ball, you pick up that club and you swing it, because there is a science. It's just like baseball. It's just like, you have to do it right. Right. And so you hit it and it's like, oh, I did that. Right. That sense of accomplishment, which is part of character building, which helps them to want to show up in other situations, especially learning. Right. Absolutely. Let's get over that curve, because we know that can be a challenge. So the confidence building is it's huge. I love that. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So many questions.
When we begin, here's the confidence builder that we have already incorporated inside of our lesson. So when we begin, we start kids off with a larger type, and especially on campuses, a larger type ball, right? It's really a a softball sized wiffle ball is what we use, right?
Gotcha.
And that's all about the confidence. All right. Because what I've learned in my 7 years of doing this, that I would be, I would hurt the program if I started kids off with a regular sized golf ball, because it's just too difficult to do. Right. So we start them off with a larger ball. We build confidence. We build their swing. We see the sparkle in their eyes of success by hitting this bigger ball, and then we gradually get them down to a golf ball size ball. Right. So confidence is huge. I'm training a young lady right now who's a really good golfer who plays on our tour, and she is 10 years old. Phenomenal young lady. And she had some confidence issues, right? So not only with the swing, though, Tiffany, but think about the mindset that goes into training your mind on how to take what I did in practice, take what I did at home, say homework, and apply it when I get into a tournament or on the test. Same rules apply.
Totally. I love that. 10 years old, you know, those are the ages and around the grades. What we're seeing from a literacy perspective is around third grade. If we can't get you to really dig into academic integrity, we run the risk of losing you as educators and as out of school time educators. We run that risk because your views about education and showing up have already kind of been cemented. So I love that, right? My youngest is 10, and we're constantly talking about self-esteem and confidence. It's like, did you say that because you really think that about yourself, or have you consumed that somewhere else? You know, either way, it's there and it needs to be addressed. So I absolutely love that. So thinking about her and thinking about all the kids that you actually serve, how many, you know, because in the space that we were in, your program, you were really pitching your program for a couple different reasons, right? It's okay, I want to do this program, but some of the pivot requires you to say, well, I only have 6 weeks, or I have 8 weeks or 10 weeks. Yeah. Where do you see the most success in terms of longevity? You know, how much time would you say the kids need to spend for them to start using some of that confidence and putting some of that confidence to work?
And that's a great question. And that's one that we've been wrestling with for the last few years. Because our hope now, we've just gotten into hosting golf tournaments. We have a partnership with Under Armour where we host junior golf tournaments throughout the city of Houston. But to really see an effect upon kids, and I'll say this, and most golfers will know and can relate to what I'm talking about. Golf is a hard sport. And any sport is hard, but golf in particular is a very difficult sport, right? For example, you have to swing a club at least 70 times in a 3-hour span, and you have to do it the same way every time to be successful, right? And your mind has to be focused, and you can't be worried about the phone ringing or what somebody said on social media or what your mom or dad did or what project you did. All of those things go into your mind, which can affect your golf swing. So we found that the kids that are most successful are the ones who are given the opportunity. One, we have a curriculum that spans the whole year. But the schools and the administrators and the coordinators have to see the fact that golf really is a sport to where you have to do it continuously. You can't just, and I'm dealing with this with my son. My son plays golf as well, but he doesn't like the practice aspect of it, right? So this is not a sport that you can just shoot a couple of hoops one day and then take 2 or 3 days off and then come back. This is a sport you have to practice because there's so many different elements to it. You got 14 clubs in your bag. So you got to master each one of those clubs. You got 7 or 8 subject areas at school. You got to be able to master those subject areas. I know we got the basic math, reading, science, but you got some other subject areas in your arts and things like that you have to master. So we assimilate that, all those things. So it's a continuous effort, a continuous process that we try to impart not only to the kids, but to the adults and the family members and administrators who are making those decisions.
So and I love that too, because here we're talking about commitment, right? So we're talking about the confidence and the commitment, but these are the things that affect how we are showing up and teaching or instilling the growth mindset. It's yeah, you got to keep doing it, baby. This isn't,
Yeah.
the cancel culture and the 5-minute microwave, theory that, oh, okay, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
If in fact you want to grow to enjoy the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want the game to be able to support you, like you said, in real life situations, it's a win-win. Why would you not? So I love that we talked about that, because the time, I always found that to be challenging. It would take me 2 to 3 visits just to build a relationship with the children, right? And if I only had 6 weeks, now I got you reading, and I got you feeling good about reading, you're confident, but it's time for me to go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why I knew at a point that I knew I needed to focus equally on making programming available online and doing other community projects because of that. It's like, well, no, this is something you have to, again, you can't just read from Miss Tiffany and then
Yeah.
go home and not read, right? Like, no, you gotta keep, even if you're reading to your stuffed animals, I don't care.
Yeah.
You gotta do something.
Gotta go
So
for it. Yeah.
yeah, you gotta be invested. So I love that. So this curriculum is a year long.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say a parent said, watching this, a teacher watching this, somebody watching this is like, I never really thought about some of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the curriculum available to purchase? Or like, how could they reach out to you, find out more? Like, because I'm thinking a year-long curriculum, that's phenomenal. So tell us about that.
Well, we are right now in the year term or the vision period where we are trying to get the franchise off the ground. Like this is my baby. This is what I founded back in 2014, really in 2009, but it didn't become official in 2014. But I see a vision of having Little Birdie concepts all throughout the state of Texas, all throughout the nation, right? So we're in the process of trying to package it in such a way that can happen. In the meantime, we can be brought to schools, churches, community centers, everything like that to begin the process. And it doesn't stop after that 1-year curriculum, right? Because within that 1-year curriculum is where we transition the kids from the after school setting or on the campus to actual golf course. And we have coaches that we have and staff members that can continue that learning in that different arena. And that's for, again, parents and family members and coaches and things like that who develop and see the spark in the kid's eye or the commitment in the kid that they want to take it to that next level. And I'll even speak on that too. Like we have a connection with Texas Southern University as well in their golf program. Like we have connections for young people to actually have another avenue for success via this game, right? We have a connection with Under Armour where kids can travel if they complete the season and finish in the top 8. And like I said, my son, we just went to Florida this past summer and he had a phenomenal time. We played a golf on some Disney courses, and just to see all of that and giving kids a different experience. It is, and I know you can do that in each sport. I know basketball has a AAU and all these things, but to do it in golf, a sport that we hadn't been exposed to, a sport that probably have all these inclinations about, a sport that is really not as popular now that kind of Tiger Woods is kind of going in his separate direction or kind of retiring. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Hurt, I'll say. But we need to just give our kids another avenue, and that's what Little Birdies is about. We want to give kids just another avenue, another opportunity, while also again supplementing the educational pieces that are so important in the classroom.
I love it. I love it. I love so many things. First and foremost, that you are considering a franchise, because I'm like, okay, how much is that? Like, can I do layaway? I want to do that for my daddy. Because truthfully, think about it. When we're talking about this global attitude and we're wanting kids everywhere to have these experiences like you were able to have with your son and the children that you play with all the time in Houston and around Houston, and Houston is huge. But when you think about it, it's like, why wouldn't we extend this? If we have a STEM-based, rigid curriculum that encourages fun, that encourages confidence and character building, why would we not make this available everywhere? I love that. I am like going to be on the edge of my seat about when this franchise is coming available. But my other question was, how old is the son? How
How
old is
well?
your son? How old is your son?
My son's a senior. He's a senior in high school now, so he'll be graduating.
So is he considering golf? Like, is he taking it serious enough that he's like, wait, I'm gonna go for this scholarship?
He has it in his mind. And here's the thing about my son. Like, I've been playing golf since I was a sophomore in high school,
Mhm.
and thanks be to to God that I was introduced to it, because I was a football player, basketball player, baseball player. I was 4-star athlete, right? But uh, I'll never forget my high school football coach, Ray Seals, who was a legend in high school football in Texas. He told me, he said, probably my sophomore year, he said, Craft, I got a game for you, a new game for you that'll be great focus game for quarterbacks. You might need to try it. And he not only told me, right, but he told most of the guys on the team, because he was a golf
Mhm.
coach and he was trying to erect the golf program at a urban school, right? Me and about 3 other guys were the only ones to coach up on that offer. And Tiffany, if I say, I'm just so thankful because he introduced it to me, and I don't know why, but I went out there and tried the game and fell in love with it. And here I am, over 20 some years later, and not giving my age, but over 20 some years later, where I have a business, and this is a full-time business. This is all I do. And it started from that dream that he had, and that leaning, and that inspiration that he gave some urban kids to try to play this game, right? And now I can see business deals happening. I can meet people at the golf course. I can have these type of conversations. I'm a part of a country club, right? Those things are, just things I couldn't even imagine or dream of, right? So I'm ever thankful, and I just want to show that to the other young people, right? The other young kids, and my son, and I said that all that to say that I started my son when he was about 4 years old. So he's been playing, he's been introduced, he's been around the game of golf. But kids, they go through that time period. I think we spoke a little bit earlier. They go through the time period where they don't want to listen to parents, right? So
Mhm.
he's just come back, probably his sophomore year in high school, where he started to take it serious. And I've always told him, like, son, this game can really take you somewhere. Like it took me somewhere.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
he's now focusing on the game of golf. Like I said, he's went to Florida last year. He's trying hard. We're trying to get him to a point to where he can compete for a scholarship. But like I said, we have connections at different colleges, so we're possibly on the brink of getting him a scholarship in golf.
That is phenomenal. That is
Mhm.
so phenomenal. Like you said, divine intervention, being in the right place at the right time, one
Mhm.
sport leading you to another. That's phenomenal. And as again, trying to erect the program, okay, fine, coach. Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever.
Yep, yep.
Did not know that you would be here. And this is why that, being interested, being curious, just try it. You
Just try
might
it.
actually
Yeah.
love it. You never know where it'll take you. Speaking of trying it, let's talk about Kirby, because when Archie and I, again, we would see each other regularly, well, at our check-in meetings and so forth, and just stay in touch with each other. There was an event, the Guinness Book of World Records. A dear friend, Nolan Davis, him and his team was doing, and Nolan wanted me involved, and I was so honored because same thing. It's like people, when they look at you a certain kind of way, it's like, absolutely, I'll do it.
Mhm.
And I immediately thought about Archie, but we had been talking because Archie knew that how Imagiread really got its footing was through my first children's book, It's Watertime Mom. And I remember you're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
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 do
yeah.
it. Introduced you to one of my illustrators. I think that I don't know if he was busy or I don't know what happened, but you went off and actually did it. And I want to talk about the book because this year-long curriculum and all this, science and growth mindset and all that can be purchased
Yeah, yeah,
via Amazon.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I want to thank you, because this is our book.
Kirby learns to focus.
I can't see it.
I know it's the background. It's okay. I'm gonna do a graphic for it.
Yeah, but I want to thank you because you pushed me, because I've always had these ideas, but just putting it in place. Sometimes we need some inspiration in that area as well. But yeah, we developed not only the curriculum, but inside the curriculum we have different levels, and our curriculum is broken down into like weeks. Our classes are once a week, so each week, and and sometimes we do them twice a week. We do a character lesson, right? So our first character lesson that we come into the school, we come into the community center or wherever we're hosting classes, and we teach kids about focus. So my idea, Tiffany, was to write a children's book for each character lesson that we do, right, in our curriculum. So probably I would have at least the vision was to have like 14 different additions to this. So the first one was Kirby Learns to Focus, because that's what our first character lesson is all about. We don't do anything in our business, in our hosting of classes, without developing kids in the mindset of focus. And then again, we connect it to everything. We ask questions like, where else could focus be useful, right? And then we start having those conversations, and then we have them writing things. We have different worksheets that talks about focus and how kids can adjust their thinking and their mindset, not only focusing on the golf course or at golf practice, but also in the classroom or at home with mom and dad.
I love that. The new program that Imagiread is releasing, Imagireading Adventures, we're always seeding mindfulness, because as as trauma-informed care, if you will, one of the things that I noticed right away, same thing, was being in the classroom with the kids. It's, oh, you can't sit still. You can't give me 5 minutes. That's why I can't teach you nothing, right? So let's work on really understanding how your brain needs to operate if we're going to do this, right? So mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, listening for sound, really just turning all of the brain on is so necessary in anything. But I love that, again, it's a sport that's requiring you to get really, really comfortable with all of the sensory at one time, because it's a focus. And like you said, I can't think about the phone ringing, I can't think about anything else, but it's a focus that you have to see through, and you have to stay there. I love that. So then tell us what Kirby learns. Give us something about Kirby. What does Kirby learn?
Well, of course, we want you guys to buy the book, right? But
totally.
Just a little brief little synopsis about our first book, right? So as we talked about, like, focus is important. Is important for all young people and all people, period. And that's one thing that we just try to impart to our young people. It's written at a second or third grade level, right? So Kirby is a student in the third grade, and he is going through his daily chores, and all through his day, his dad has promised him, and he tells him, if you focus in school today, I'll introduce you to this new game. Well, Kirby really hadn't heard that word before, so he has to really figure out what the word means. All right. And that's inside the book as we help kids to understand. And like we said before, in our curriculum, the conversations we have around this, the worksheets that we have around this, is all around the social emotional learning piece too, that kids can figure it out for themselves and then find usable ways to develop habits around it. Right. So Kirby achieves that goal that his dad gives him for that day. And then come to find out that the game his dad is going to introduce him to is golf, right? So the first book kind of ends up where, dad just takes him to the golf course, begins our 6-step proprietary step system, and he sees the golf course, sees the beauty of hills and green grass and superbly cut grass and great greens and things like that. And Kirby, his eyes light up, right? And then that's how the first book kind of ends, with just showing young people that focus can take you to another step, right? So then we're going to continue on with that. But, we're just happy that, focus is a huge part of what we're trying to teach the kids. And we want them to get it, right? We put it in a manner, hopefully, that they can understand, and they can, while they're reading it, it's a fun and quick and easy read, but also a read that can stick with them, that, hey, if I can focus, or if I can do what my mom and dad asked me to do in class, and I can reach my goals, then great things will happen, right? So
I love that. I don't think that, well, most who know me know how much I love children's literature. I teach with it. It's everywhere. I remember when I first got married a couple of years ago, and I was bringing all of my library. We moved into a new place, and he was like, "You can't be serious, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, I mean, because it's tons and tons and tons, and I'd given away a lot. But I love children's books for so many reasons. And when we're talking about just having this concept be presented for children, it's adults need to be reminded
Mm-hmm.
that, when we're talking about modeling behaviors, we can tell our kids all day to stay focused, but if we ourselves are not focused,
Sure.
you know, so it's not just, second, third grade, because I get it. It's like, what we're talking about, birth and beyond,
Mhm.
learning about some of these self-management, again, SEL, right? Social emotional learning traits. Okay, so how I manage myself will dictate how I'm showing up and how I'm engaging in social relationship, right? So it's important to make those connections. So again, this is why I say, well, children's books are for everybody. They're not just for kids,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
if you are struggling with focus and being that example, buy it. If you've always been interested in golf, buy it. Like, there's so many reasons why you could buy it, but real talk, it really is this is necessary to learn anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anything. And
Absolutely.
with how digital literacy has emerged, and more than ever, we are online learning. Um, I think, Archie, I want to say you were in the session that I did back in 2017, 21st century literacy learning, where I said this was coming. I said, what, the classroom is going to change. We're going to have to get to a place where we are really centering digital learning. And we need to make sure that our kids are ready, but we need to be ready. So
Mhm.
in that, it's here.
It's here.
We're learning
Yeah.
online and we are so distracted by everything online. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Focus needs to be key. Focus needs to be key. So Kirby learns how to focus.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so are we still going to do the rest of the books, or?
Hey, you go pushing again. I need that. That's why I need this interview.
Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean the idea again. Our next character trait would be goal setting. So I began writing the book. I just again hadn't finished it. This one is probably about 2 or 3 years old already, and I
It
have
is.
I have a couple of kids and parents who've, Crab, when the next book coming? I got one kid who reads it so much, his mom was like, Crab, you better write the next book because he didn't read that book to death.
Right.
And
He
it's
didn't wore
funny
that.
to me because I hear that and I'm like, wait, what? I wrote a book that a kid likes. So, it's some processes even for myself in moving forward. I'm busy trying to focus on growing Little Birdies and developing franchise and things like that I need to just pause for a second and continue on the literacy side as well. But that's why I need you. So yeah.
No, I love it. I'm so proud of you. I know you don't need me saying that, but I just thinking back about how we were both, like you said, moving and getting things off the ground, where you have these phenomenal collaborations and partnerships now. People are like, hey, come, come, come. The same thing for Imagiread. Like, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm really praying, because this is the prayer, that you get the team that you need so that everything comes together like it should. Because when you are managing a lot and you are growing and staging, there's some things that you have to get used to that we may not be accustomed to. It's tough. It's like, okay, I'm doing a billion things as it is. You want me to do another thing? So I'm praying that the talent, comes to you with grace and ease. You're able to, compartmentalize and keep growing, because I'm really looking forward to this franchise. I think that will be amazing.
I'm thankful. I'm hoping. Yes, ma'am. I'm hoping.
Amazing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not, because we were pre-recording this, I'm not even going to do the whole hour thing. I think we've covered a lot. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, we have we're live on the web, so we got www.littlebirdiesgolf.com. You can find out about everything that we're doing. We also have a nonprofit, which is just the letters LBMGA, and that's where we, kind of host events and host private classes and even host classes for seniors. We go into pre-COVID, we were going into senior elderly homes and hosting golf classes and exercise classes for those guys as well. So
nice.
and hosting free classes for urban schools and urban kids. So we're doing a lot with that as well. So we got a couple of things that are eggs in the bundle that we're trying to jumble. But Little Birdies, again, and all the aspects of it is my baby, and we're trying to continue to see it grow. In my lifetime, I want to see it grow to exponentially different areas and different places, and just trying to just impact kids. Like you have a passion and a love for kids literature. I have a passion and love for kids exposure to this game. So it goes hand in hand. And I just thank you so much for always being a ally, always supportive, always giving me encouraging words and giving me that inspiration. You've been a great friend, and I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It does my heart wonders because, again, it is about the kids. It's always been about the kids for me. You know, I joke all the time. I'm like, y'all can miss me with these adults. Give me the kids. You know, because they really do. They need that support. And essentially, we're all kids. We're just in different age bodies. But, you know, yeah. It's like, let's take care of each other. So I love that you're doing things with seniors. They need it. I've also been thinking about a story piece of connecting, you know, kids and seniors, because that's so much wisdom. It's Family History Month this month. So us having this conversation about how, you know, you got into it. I talk about how my dad got me into it. He has my middle son into it. You know, we're talking about family and generation and legacy. Like, okay, we're raising intelligent, creative thinkers, right? And this is one of the ways we do this. So I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. Much love to the family. Send the love to the family, because they've been supporting this the whole time, right? They've been putting up what you happen to be on the green, and I gotta go, you know? So much love to the fam. Thank you again. So I'm gonna post, because again, this session was pre-recorded, I'm going to post all the links so you can get in touch with Archie. If you have questions about your little one, thinking about getting your little one involved, or you're in the Houston, Harris County, you know, all of those areas. Houston is huge. Get in touch with Archie. Like, send him an email, you know, drop him a line. He's on Instagram for sure. Say, hey, you know what? I want my kids to be involved. I was thinking about this golf camp, because there are golf camps out there. But you want to make sure you have the right golf camp and the right support. So drop them a line, ask a couple questions, you know, buy the book.
One thing, let me share our Instagram, so if I fail to do that.
Yes, totally.
On Instagram at Little Birdies Golf. We're on Facebook at Little Birdies Golf Academy, right? And I don't do too much with Twitter, but Instagram and Facebook is kind of where the most of the bulk of advertising and stuff goes. So it's been an exciting time. I can't wait to see what the future holds for Little Birdies. And you know, we're on our way. We're developing a team now. We're just trying to peacefully and efficiently grow this thing to where, you know, we can see it everywhere. So,
gosh, that is phenomenal. Well, thank you so much, Archie. Thank you everyone for joining. Please feel free to leave your comments under this video so that we can tag Archie. You know, if you have questions, if you have comments, if you yourself love golf, your kid loves golf already, we need to hear about that, especially like you said, marginalized, disenfranchised Black and brown children, those low income in urban areas. There are so many ways that we can really reach these children with the sport. It really is fun. I'm not just saying that. Like, nobody paid me to say that. It really is fun. So Archie, thank you so much again. Appreciate you for your time. I really, really do. Go enjoy the green, you know, par.
Going. Hey, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.